So after the success of our last air-dried beef, we've decided to put a couple on this weekend. So we have two absolutely beautiful dry-aged bits of beef, and I'm just going to break them down into T-bones and sirloins. Thought you guys might like to see this. First job, just identify your cuts. So here we have our sirloin, and here we have our fillet. It runs all the way along these rib bones, and we're going to cut them off in sections, including the bones for our porterhouse and T-bone steaks. When we get to this end and the fillet steak runs out and it gets a lot thinner, we then just go to cutting the sirloins. We'll take that off the bone and do some boneless sirloin steaks. Right, so here goes. The end piece, which is where it's been in the cabinet, we're going to discard this and use it for stock. So take it off here, and we get as far as our bone. There we go. And we just want to clean this off. This is the little bit that nobody really wants to eat, that which has been sat out in the cabinet. So here we go. Boom.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Yep. So that's the end piece here. So this is going to be the nice thick one, absolutely massive fillet, lovely piece there. We look for a nice thickness to cook it. There. So now we take our knife down the fillet side, put the knife down the sirloin side, and then we start sawing. Flip it on its side. Just release it. So here we go. So that's going to be somewhere around 650 to 750 grams. A little bit big for a porterhouse, but perfect for two to share. Okay, and again, just there. Make sure we have the fillet cut nicely. If you don't pre-cut it, you end up with the saw just hacking away at the meat. We don't want that. We also want a nice, evenly sized steak. Okay.
Do we know what breed of beef this is?
Yep, this is a Hereford Crossed Angus. Perfect for this. Beautiful. Right, we're now getting to the heart of the meat. And if you have a look now, there we go. So there's our beautiful sirloin, beautiful fillet. We tidy these up a little bit at the end, and we'll just keep sawing them off in sections until we have usually about 5 of these.
They've been really popular.
They've been super popular. It's absolutely top quality meat.
Are we still serving them the same as we have been?
Yep. So we serve them with an option of sauces, so that when you pay for your steak, you get everything. So there's no hidden charges here. Normal garnish is grilled garnish, so tomato, slow roasted tomatoes in balsamic, and a big portobello mushroom. They're grilled and roasted off. We have pancetta beans, and we also serve it with a choice of either pepper or Colston Bassett Stilton sauce. And we do that for all of the cuts, whether you're sharing, whether you're just going to enjoy a whole steak to yourself. We have, at the moment, for this weekend, we'll have these porterhouse and T-bones. We'll have bone-off sirloin. We will also have ribeye steak, and we've also got some beautiful dry-aged, lawned rump steaks. All classic cuts, all available either griddled or, if you prefer, in a pan with plenty of butter, garlic and thyme for those who like a little bit of luxury on their steak. The meat does speak for itself, so if you prefer just a nice plain griddled steak, just with a good seasoning, you don't really need to look much further than this.
They're enormous.
Beautiful, yeah.
So when you cook these, James, so they're this size now, how much will you lose on the cooking from the weight?
And because they're dry aged, very little. If they were young bits of meat, they'd still be full of liquid, so full of blood. And the other bonus of dry aging the meat is, as they age, enzymes in the meat break down some of the tissue, the connective tissue, the collagen, and it makes for a really, really tender piece of meat. So rather than just have it sat in a bag and then delivered to the door, what we end up with here are these amazing bits of meat that have had a chance to relax, a chance for the blood to both disappear but also to equalise in the meat, so you don't have big pools of blood either. Right, we're nearly at the end of our T-bone and steak run.
Wow, 6.
Yep. So there you go, we're in the chine now. We just need to cut around that.
The chine?
The chine, it's on the bottom of the bone.
Okay.
Right, so, and as you can see now, from here at the top end where the porterhouse is, down to here where our T-bones are, we're getting smaller fillet. So what we tend to do now is take it off the bone. I've got a tiny bit of fillet here. That'll be chef's perks. We'll take that home. So just run our knife just on top of the bone there.
So you're trimming it now? Or is
No,
that...
I'm just pulling the fillet off here,
Oh, right,
off the
okay.
back.
So what will we do with this?
That's just a little bit, look, so that's only a tiny little bit, so if we cut this in cross sections we could maybe put that on with a steak pie or something as a garnish.
Okay.
Right, now here we have the top of the rib. I'm just going to run our knife on the inside there.
Slowly.
Top here. Keeping our fingers between the meat and the bone, running it down along the rib cage.
Video is not very good.
Right, so these are the bones, and this was the chine. And so this, if you had like a nice classic rib roast, you could ask your butcher to remove the chine, just to leave the bones on and then tied. We have a nice function coming up soon for someone who's ordered 3 beautifully chined pieces of rib as a roast for a big party. I'm very much looking forward to doing those. Okay, nearly in there. Okay.
And will you use these bones in the stock pot?
Yep, that's exactly where all the bones go here. We'll trim some of the meat out from between the bones, some of the good meat off here just to go into bags ready for burgers. All the burger meat here, if it's beef, it will be dry aged, so it's coming off our rumps, off our sirloins. We trim this back now, and we also have to bear in mind that people are getting more and more health conscious, so if there is a lot of fat on the top, we'll take that off as well. So we like a nicely trimmed steak, so when you're paying for your meat, it's meat you get.
So none of this will go to waste, will it?
Nothing goes to waste.
We'll use every bit of this.
Yeah, no, the sinewy parts we'll trim out of here and they'll go into the stock pot, and the good meat is saved for mince. So if you look here now, we have this lovely cross section. That's your classic entrecôte sirloin. Take this fat. So this is the large piece of fat, but it's really nice thin covering, nice and dry aged. Here's the top end. Same again, I will cut this piece off which was exposed in the fridge. And that will go into the mince, gives it a lovely flavour. And now these will all be cut into steaks.
So the yellowing, is that from the breed, or is that just to show, it shows that it's been really well aged, doesn't it, when it has that slight...
It shows that it's nicely aged, but it also shows that it's had a really rich diet and it's had a really nice life. Really white fat indicates to me just an animal that hasn't quite had the right balance of feed or been finished properly. So for here, we're going to go for some slightly large steaks.
Oh, wow.
So that's looking at 12 to 14 ounces these. We like to cut our steaks thick so that when you cut them and rest them, you end up with a really nice finished piece of meat. There's nothing worse than cutting skinny steaks, unless you're going for a minute steak sandwich, and trying to cook them well, rest them, and then serve them on a plate. They just don't have the same impact, and you don't really get the mouthfeel from the meat as you're eating it. Here we go, and that also goes to do with the fat to meat ratio in the steak. It's all about the mouthfeel, so it's all about the composition of the meat and the mixture of fat and lean meat. So here we go. That's our first one. I'll be doing the next one shortly.
They're enormous. Thank you.